Kalshi says you can bet on anything. But is it possible for one person to bet on everything and still make money? I wasn't sure, but I wanted to challenge the tagline by betting on everything with real money. This is perhaps the dumbest and most difficult trading strategy ever devised. Most prediction market traders find their edge in a single market where they're a specialist. But that's such a Web 2 mentality. It's the age of AI, baby. Specialization is dead. Long live the generalists. That's why I'm taking on every single market, all 1,200 of them, with $1,000 cash, baby. So here's the challenge. I'm gonna bet on every market that expires the day we take. Economic data, crypto, the price of live cattle. If it's listed, I'm betting on it. I'm gonna use AI tools to develop a unique strategy for each market. Finally, I'm gonna do a full breakdown, reviewing the success of each market strategy. To answer one question, is it possible to bet on everything on Kalshi and make a profit? Or did I just lose all my money? I have to make 179 bets across all of Kalshi's sports markets. That's everything from NBA basketball to college lacrosse to esports. I don't even follow sports. I still think Michael Jordan plays for the Bulls. So I really need to rely on Claude because I'm totally out of my element here. Claude tells me I need to find an edge, my little piece of knowledge nobody else knows that can deliver me a profit. So it instructs me to find another data signal to compare Kalshi's market to. I search online and find this $29 a month API service that gives me odds available in multiple sharp sports books for many, but not all of the scheduled matches on Kalshi. Kalshi users often bet with their heart. They like a team or a player, so they put money down there. Sharp sports books, on the other hand, are all about the numbers. The odds are calculated by serious, complex mathematical modeling and real-time data, like some pro stuff. That's why you gotta pay for it.
I tell Claude Cowork, in plain English, to make me some sort of program I can run on my machine that will scan the Sharpbook odds against Kalshi's crowd-priced markets. Now, I'm no coding genius. I got a C in my college computer science class, but this is the bread and butter for AI tools. Sure, they could maybe tell you if your rash is dangerous, but they're far superior at building computer programs, including the automated betting systems I asked it to build for this project.
I have a question about a baseball game between Minnesota and Toronto. I didn't even know Canadians played baseball. But Claude looks at the data and tells me that Minnesota was underpriced by 2 cents on Kalshi, according to the sharp books, and advises me to take a yes bet on them. Surprisingly, I won that bet. But the niche markets is where it gets really weird because there's no data from the sharp books. So I'm essentially betting blind and asking Claude for motherboard instinct, I guess you'd call it, as opposed to gut instinct. There are a ton of leagues I don't know, like the Association of Tennis Professionals, ATP. Claude even makes a comment about how obscure ATP data is, and literally tells me to bet on a player because it recognizes their name.
Hertzis, that's a name. He's one of a legitimate top 10 ATP player.
That's a good one. I actually won that bet. So after 179 bets on sports, I lost $19.76, a loss of 26%. But that's okay. This is just quarter round match 1. Next, I've got to put down 336 bets on weather and climate. Oh my God, that's a lot. Kalshi has monthly, daily, and even hourly bets on the weather in multiple cities, in addition to natural disasters, like the number of tornadoes in a month. I lost that bet. This category is really difficult for me. It's a lot of places, it's a lot of data, it's a lot more money, which means a bigger risk. So I gotta get a little crafty here. Also, weather forecasts vary across providers. Weather.com might have a different forecast than Google's weather page. This problem, however, presents a good edge opportunity because if I can find the higher quality signal, which is probably harder than asking, hey Siri, what's the weather today? Then I'll have an advantage over the rest of Kalshi users. So that's what I did. Claude wrote me a script that scraped real data from the ECMWF, which is considered one of the best weather forecasting institutions in the world, via their OpenMeteo free API. Multiple countries provide data, it's got a great model, it's weather for the pros. Then Claude would once again compare this data against what was on Kalshi and tell me if there was anything that didn't line up, pointing out that difference as the edge. The problem is, Claude gets confused on why I would want to take every bet and not just the ones with the best edge. I remind the machine that what I was doing was extremely dumb. We want profits, yes, but but we're making every bet. That's what we're going for. That's the primary mission. And to deal with placing the annoying hourly bets, I set up a scheduler in Claude to automatically place bets for me. It stops working halfway through the day. Claude is not supposed to place autonomous bets without a human in the loop. So even though it had been doing this for a few hours, it finally figured out that this was a fundamental no-no and shut down. Really leaving me high and dry and a little bit of a panic. Still, Claude writes me a script that I can use through the terminal on my Mac that makes live bets using the same signal-based scanner we had developed, and this works. Anyways, after 336 bets, I have a gain of $71.93. That is a 20% gain. All right, we're back, baby. We're in the green and then some, yeah. Mentions. I have to place 131 bets in the mention markets. These are markets on Kalshi where you bet if someone will say a word at a public event. There are specific words that fall within a certain probability range that the platform chooses to put on a list that everyone can bet on. I'm feeling pretty prepared for mention markets, if I do say so myself. Before today, I had purchased a silver tier Yahoo Finance subscription for $24.95 a month to pull years of past earnings call transcripts for Eli Lilly, Apple, and Reddit. Companies that all have their earnings calls scheduled for today. So I did my homework, feeling pretty good. My strategy is we use these historical transcripts as a way to predict what someone might say now. I feed the transcripts, the words on Kalshi's list, and the current Kalshi odds into Claude. Claude has built a framework where it categorizes the words into 4 buckets based on frequency or obviousness. Apple is a company that makes things, right? It seems pretty obvious that they're gonna mention something about supply chains or manufacturing. And the word manufacturing is going for 90 cents. After looking at my data, Claude thinks this should be closer to 97 cents. It gives me a signal that, heck yeah, they're gonna say that word for sure. That bet is undervalued. Go ahead, my brother, go ahead and bet on that. And you know what? I won that bet for a cool 10 cents. During the day, however, Kalshi adds more unscheduled markets with things like, what will announcer say during the Celtics 76ers basketball game tonight? And this throws me for a loop. I mean, I don't know anything about sports, right? And I don't have any transcripts from broadcast sports games. Yeah, these mention markets are really a pain in the butt. I can't have any more coffee. I'm gonna have a heart attack if I have any more coffee. Not great. I thought this was a set it and forget it kind of category. I was wrong. So for mention markets, maybe we squeaked out an edge, right? There were 131 bets and I lost $10.58 for a loss of 12%. Okay, turns out announcers still might say the word overtime even if the game isn't supposed to be close. So I had to make one bet in the culture category, the runner-up USA song on Spotify for the month of April. Not the #1 song, the runner-up. For this, I scanned Spotify's API, which has their actual data, and compared against Kalshi's odds. Doors by Noah Kahan has a 98% chance on Kalshi, and Spotify backs up that assertion. It's telling me that's right. So, one bet, 2 cents, with a gain of 2%. It's like 2 point something. Anyways, Noah Kahan, never heard of you. That's why you're the runner-up. Do you know Noah Kahan? Have you heard of that guy? Commodities. It is very seldom that so much work and so much data has been applied to make a lowly 36 bets. Compared to sports, where I have like 6 times as many markets, I spend considerably more time on this category because it's really obscure and very unsexy. Most of what I know about commodities comes from watching the movie Trading Places.
Here in New York, they trade everything. Gold, cocoa and sugar, and of course, frozen concentrated orange juice.
Doesn't that tell you everything you need to know? We're betting on the price of raw stuff. Commodity data is hard to find because it's not for retail investors. It's built around physical industries like shipping and agriculture. So the data is privately owned and highly valued. There's no central place to get all the data I need to bet across the entire category, from the price of lithium to the price of Brent crude oil at 5 p.m. today. But this also means if I put in a lot of work and I get a more clear signal than everyone else, then I should crush this category, right? Nobody else is going on this dumb Easter egg hunt for a handful of bets. So I started compiling data sets with Claude, and I went a little overboard, ending up with 27 different data streams, which is just total overkill. I found 9 historical price data sets, 4 inventory series from the US Energy Information Administration, 9 macro data points, and 5 live price feeds from an online oracle which charges a $10,000 a month subscription fee for that information. I got a free 2-week trial on that one. All of this real high quality data went into a model Claude built for me that was supposed to give me a more accurate prediction of what commodity prices would be on any given day. And this is how I'm gonna find my edge. I should know more than everyone else does about the true price of these commodities. So Claude scans the current odds on Kalshi, looks at the model we built, and then finds me the edge. And I was cooking. Gold, win. Nickel, win. Oil, you better believe it's a win. But then I discover a bunch of markets I had not prepared for. Cocoa beans, soybeans, coffee. I'd overlooked the entire agriculture sector in pursuit of oil and nickel and lithium.
Why didn't I bet on this one?
None of this sector was included in those 27 data sets. And I only have 45 minutes to put down bets, and the market had really calcified by that point.
These markets come out of nowhere. I didn't even know this was going on.
I'm thinking, where the heck can I get a cocoa bean API? So after all this work, all this stupid data, I lost $2.75 on those 36 bets, which is a loss of 14%. That is just a real bummer, man. Now, if I hadn't been blindsided by beans and agriculture, I would have only been down $1.71, which is a loss of 10%. So I can't really blame it on the agriculture, I guess. But I was really proud I got the live cattle market right for 2 cents. Mooney. Okay, commodities' more attractive sibling, financials, where I have to make a whole 10 bets. These financial markets on Kalshi predict where the real financial markets, like the S&P 500 and exchange rates, will be at 10 a.m. or the closing bell or whatever the criteria is. Claude built me a strategy using the Black-Scholes formula, a famous model options traders use to predict how asset prices might move. It's got 5 different data sets to help influence my pricing strategy, but most of the heavy lifting is coming from Yahoo Finance. Claude wrote me a pricing algorithm that compares the current odds on Kalshi's markets with the predictions from my data and sees if there's any edge that we can bet on. I have to remind Claude yet again that I am forcing it to place a bet on everything, even bets without an edge. Claude tells me it's frustrated with me. Good. I find working with Claude to be frustrating sometimes too. Anyways, after 10 whole bets, I have a profit of 62 cents. That's a 10% gain. Wowee. And even though this category was profitable for me, I am beside myself that I missed the US dollar Japanese yen exchange rate bet. I had my honeymoon in Japan, so that for me was personal. I'm gonna merge 3 Kalshi categories: economics, companies, and tech. I made 9 bets across these 3 categories. These include markets like will 32BJ, SEIU, NYC residential building workers strike before May? I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Who made this market? So I asked Claude to help me by using their best judgment, and after those 9 bets, I lost $3.40, a 66% loss. But I will take that loss to get those bets on the board. There are no elections or politics markets to play today. Sad. This is where prediction markets really got their clout. Next time, I'm saving the most crazy category of markets for last. The true degen of them all, crypto. I made a whopping 537 crypto bets. The crypto markets on Kalshi are as insane as your cousin at Thanksgiving who tries to get all the boomers to put their retirement money into some coin that will almost certainly get rugged by Christmas. There are monthly, daily, hourly, and 15-minute markets I have to hit. They run every 15 minutes for 7 different currencies. It's insane. You can bet up or down or in a range. I mean, this is madness, okay? There are so many markets, so many currencies, and they all behave differently. I'm just tired, boss. It's been a long day, okay? I pull my data from Binance and feed it into Claude. It does some prediction calculus using LightGBM, which is an open source framework used for machine learning. And then every 15 minutes, it runs an automatic scan of the current price of currencies on Kalshi versus what the model predicts and tells me very clearly how to bet. The biggest issue I have with these isn't predicting the data, it's getting the bets in. I'm doing a million things at once, but I have to take care of all these really dumb 15-minute crypto bets. So I automate the buying process. 30 seconds before the next market opens, my script automatically fires off predictions and then places bets for me. One of the first issues I ran into was that the program would try to place bets the first millisecond of a new betting window. But Kalshi isn't always ready in that first millisecond of a 15-minute cycle. It has to, load. So I had Claude put in a 20-second delay before placing bets.
I'm getting really tired. I'm gonna drink more water.
This is really insane, and I wouldn't do this whole thing again just because the crypto markets suck so hard. I put in a ton of time trying to perfect this. It ate up a lot of my computing, and what I ended up with was, after 537 bets, a loss of $46.99. That's a 20% loss. This is not the first time I've lost money in crypto, and it probably won't be the last. Unlike my algorithm, which if I ran it long enough would probably learn to not bet on crypto, but I am human, and to err is to human, and I will probably continue to trade crypto in my personal life, and will continue to lose money. Okay, so my grand total after 1,239 bets is negative $10.91. That's only a loss of 1%. That's pretty good. Okay, not bad. That includes Kalshi's fees. But I also have to subtract subscription fees, of which I had $53.95, and then the AI compute costs, because even with a pro account on Claude, I have a usage limit, and I blew way through that. So that racked up $206.53. So here's my grand total, negative $271.39. That is a loss of 27%. But I think I definitely got my money's worth. I was able to bet on everything, and I'm possibly the first person on earth to try this. Something so dumb. And maybe I shouldn't be a generalist prediction market trader after all. But I did find a category my proprietary model really excelled at: weather. I had a hefty 20% gain there. So maybe that's my niche. Maybe I'm just the Kalshi weather guy. We got some spicy temps going on down here in Miami, and that's really gonna define that edge for you. So go ahead and buy